Thank you.
Oh, Sir Robert, sorry, it's late.
That's all right. I don't mind. Ms. Parker, I'm not aware of the details of the Fair Work Act, immense as it is. I'm concerned with companies, employers, including universities, backfilling risk assessments. It's a topic Senator McCanavan touched on earlier. Backfilling risk assessments to justify their decisions on mandating injections. Is that part of your remit to explore that?
Look, it's a work health and safety matter. So if they are undertaking a health and safety risk assessment, as you say, they're doing it afterwards to make it look like...
Well, what I meant by backfilling is exactly that, to make it look like. They do it up front, but it's rubbish.
I understand, yes.
Yeah, you know.
It's a work health and safety issue, and they would need, I would encourage them, whoever you're talking about, particularly, to contact their work health and safety regulator in the state that it's occurring in.
Unfortunately, that's a state government.
Yes, that's correct.
Which is quite often putting the pressure on to mandate injections.
It depends on, there's a difference between mandating and actually coming up with a risk assessment after the fact. I think that's a different issue.
What I'm talking about is the risk assessment that's done supposedly up front.
Yes.
But it's rubbish.
Yes. I still think they could contact the work health safety regulator, because that seems to me a breach of the requirements, but it's on the face of it, but we'd have to see it in...
Rather than the breach of due process in negotiating something.
Speaking in the general...
It appears that way, yes.
Speaking in the general, to reverse engineer a risk assessment rather than genuinely taking into account the risks and benefits and...
consultation.
And the genuine matters for consideration would, without giving you legal advice, be something that's fraudulent under workplace health and safety laws. And so I would suggest people in that situation take a good look at that and consider the safety regulator that's relevant to their workplace.
The only thing I'd add to that, Senator, is the work health and safety authorities are independent statutory authorities. So they operate independent from government, and it's not unusual for work health and safety authorities to take departments to court, etc., for where they feel they've failed in their duties. So people should have confidence in going to their regulators.
Thank you. One final question, just getting a gut feel from you. The massively thick Fair Work Act has got a hell of a lot of... I can see you smiling before you burst into laughter. Got a lot of complexity in it. And it works for the members of the IR Club, HR consultants, legal lawyers, large union bosses, employer associations that are kept in work by having problems to fix. The employer-employee relationship, which should be the fundamental and primacy of that relationship at work, has been ignored, shoved aside, and too often vested interests get involved. Do you see any sense of that?
What I would say is that it's our job to try to cut through that. So we've been established to try to educate and help people with that. So absolutely agree, there's complexity, there's individual arrangements, they're all different, people have case-by-case issues. It's a complex system, but so's work, so's life, so's going, you know, everyone with different jobs has a different arrangement. That's the nature of the business we operate in. Our job is to try to cut through that and help people to determine what's the right thing to do. So if an employer rings us, then we will talk them through what it is they're concerned about, and we'll help them to make it right. We can provide them with outsourced legal advice. We can give them written advice. We have very good education products, very good websites. We try to make them simple. We consult on them. We get feedback on them. We have a small business hotline. We work very hard to try to simplify the system as much as possible so they don't have to feel overwhelmed, which is what I think you're talking about.
In fairness to Ms Parker, she only gets to work with what we parliamentarians give her.
Exactly.
And it is a very large and it is a very complex act. But as you and I know, Senator Roberts, it's the kind of sensitive area that requires all the different parties in this parliament to work together in order to get it through. And as we saw recently with the last industrial relations bill to come before this parliament, some in this parliament would stand in the way of the kind of simplicity and transparency that makes it fairer for everybody and that generates the kind of economic opportunity that works best for the people who need it most in our community.
Can I just highlight, hang on, Senator Roberts, can I just highlight we are 20 minutes over our supper break, is it? What do they call it? Late break. I like supper better than traditional.
There are many
break,
workers now not getting smoko because of this.
It's too late for a smoke, Senator Roberts, but did you want to continue, or as I say,
Yeah,
we're
just
a little bit
very
over, but
briefly in
be
response
brief,
to the
thank
Minister.
You. We can be very brief, thanks.
The complexities make it impossible for some small businesses and especially for some workers, including those represented by so-called big unions, because the union bosses are part of the club.
They are.
And so what we need, and Ms Parker alluded to it, the primacy of the workplace relationship between employer and employee needs to be brought back with unions if the workers want representatives. Got no problem with that. But I've already got Dave Noonan, Michael Ravbar, the BCA, other groups interested in exploring that issue because the CFMEU Legal Council, the ETU Legal Council have both said we've got too many damn lawyers in this mess. And they're lawyers.
Well, look, I don't disagree fundamentally with what you've got to say there, but the barrier doesn't lie with government. The barrier lies over that side of the room.
I would say the barrier lies with a lot of people in this room and other rooms.
Okay, well, I think
Thank you
we're
very
getting into
much,
a debate. Thank you, Senator